Hi, and welcome to another Beer Temple. I am Chris Quinn, and we are doing yet another one-off beer show. Just kind of went down into my cellar, rooted around a little bit, and found this guy, and figured it might be a beer that you would be interested in learning a little bit about and seeing what I think of. This beer is the Speedway Stout from AleSmith Brewing. AleSmith is kind of one of the, to me anyway, one of the original kind of Southern California pioneer craft breweries. I remember when first hearing that there was some really interesting stuff going on in Southern California. Obviously, the first thing I heard was Stone, and then you hear things like, you know, Port and stuff like that. But shortly thereafter, you started hearing about these AleSmith guys. And the first one I remember hearing about, the first beer of theirs that was really kind of making waves, was this one right here, the Speedway Stout. So it is pretty much a West Coast distribution. You know, I might be wrong. It might be available in some other places. I know I really haven't seen it on the East Coast. I haven't seen it around the Midwest, and even as far as like Denver and stuff like that, I haven't seen it. So I do think it is pretty specific to the West Coast. Don't quote me on that. But you know, if you are out in that part of the area, it is pretty available. So where it is distributed, you can get it quite easily. So those of you who aren't on the West Coast, don't worry. If you ever get out there, or have a friend out there, and you want to get some AleSmith, it's pretty available. It's not like the really hard find, you know, like Alpine and stuff like that, which I've done recently as part of the Alpine and New Belgium show. You know, that can be pretty hard to get even if you're out there. But this is not the case here. So this, what beer is this? This is their Speedway Stout. Russian Imperial Stout brewed with coffee. Very popular style with the beer geeks. It is a 12% alcohol beer, and it is a beer that AleSmith says ages very well. This is not an aged example. I actually do have some, and I was thinking about doing a vertical, but I just wanted to pull out an example that somebody would be able to find if they were to get this beer off the shelf. And this beer is, I would say, probably about, you know, let's say 6 months old, something like that. Maybe a little less. Actually probably a little less. Let's say about 4 months old. So as coffee beers age, the coffee tends to drop out, sometimes rather quickly. Although I have had, you know, a couple-year-old coffee stouts where you still are getting the coffee. One of the reasons that people like coffee stouts so much is that there's so much natural kind of roasty coffee-like flavors from these big black and chocolate malts that are so heavily used in these big imperial stouts that you get a lot of natural coffee flavors. So if you just add coffee, you're kind of enhancing that aspect of the beer. So if you like those really roasty, dark chocolatey and coffee notes from your stouts, then you might want to start looking at some coffee stouts as well. There are a couple that are pretty available year-round, but it tends to be more of a seasonal thing, a specialty thing. But nowadays there's so much craft beer out there that you should be able to find a coffee stout. Not all coffee stouts are created equal, though. I think sometimes the two ones I find, the two styles I find are ones that tend to have like a ground coffee flavor. I think, you know, when coffee beans are being ground, it smells really nice, so I don't mind that at all. And then there are other beers that more kind of embody an actual kind of brewed cup of coffee. Just to kind of generically throw it into two buckets, you know, of the good ones. There's, you know, plenty of bad examples of any style you want, but those are what I've have found anyway. Pulling off this foil here, we've got a 750 ml bottle. Not sure on the pricing. I'll grab that before the show goes up, and I'm just gonna slide that over here. And a little tip, someone was asking me about this the other day, how I can get, they wanted to know where I could get that white bottle cap opener that I have that kind of just pops it off the top. What I like about that bottle cap opener, other than it kind of breaks a lot, is that it keeps the bottle caps pretty pristine. So somebody was asking me where they could get it because they wanted to use some bottle caps for a tabletop or something like that, and they wanted them to not have any dents in it. So really the best way to do that, here's a little trick. You don't need a special bottle opener. In fact, here's like one of the worst bottle openers you could use. It's really just a, you know, the bottle opener part of a cheap wine opener, corkscrew. So what you do is just take this, you know, normally if you were just to open it like this, is this going to work? Yeah. It would kind of bend it or crimp it. Take a quarter and set it right on top, and this will work with pretty much any bottle opener. It can be the church key style or whatever you want. And then if you open it, then you really get a pretty flat and dented bottle cap. So there you go, a little tip from me to you. All right, drinking this out of a snifter, just one beer, so I'm gonna give myself a nice pour here. All right, still kind of a small pour, but all right, nice big head. I mean, you typically don't get this much foam from a beer that has 12% alcohol. When you start getting up there, it gets a little bit more hard to generate this much carbonation. I can already smell some of those really big, savory flavors from it from here. Very nice beer. Absolutely pitch dark. In fact, even someone asked if I could somehow shine a light as I'm doing that. It's very difficult. I'm not sure how to do it other than just to describe it. This is jet black. Even as I hold it up to the light, even around the edges, I'm not seeing anything. Completely opaque here, and a lovely, like a brown sugar colored head to it. Very viscous as it kind of rolls up. You can see it just kind of sticks to the glass as I just roll it up there. So big, thick beer here. Let's give it a smell. Really nice. Definitely getting some coffee, absolutely, but what I'm getting more is, at least in the aroma at first, is just some really nice Imperial Stout characters, ones that I really enjoy getting. I'm not getting quite as much of that savory quality that I was smelling from a distance. I mean, it's definitely there. I'm getting a very nice fruity character. I describe it as dried blueberry in there, but a lot of other people don't get that. So I'm definitely getting some of that. I'm getting a nice kind of dark chocolate cake from the nose as well. Definitely a little bit of coffee, but not a ton. And just a really nice kind of like semi-sweet dark chocolate with some dried fruit. Very nice. Okay, so big and thick. It's actually still developing. Really nice. Okay, so it's big and thick. I am getting some more of those savory qualities on the mouth that I wasn't really getting in the aroma. Well, I was at first, and then I wasn't, and then I tasted it. I was getting it again. Some of the savoriness, some really nice interplay with that chocolate and fruit, as I also got in the aroma. But much more of the coffee here. It's kind of like not really an espresso roast, though. It's not big and dark. It's more of kind of a light fruity coffee that you might get. I said it was chewy and thick, and then as you swallow it, it really kind of hits you with that nice chocolate flavor again, followed by a little bit of the warming of your mouth in general from the alcohol, and finally some bitterness comes through, and I think it's hop bitterness. I don't think it's strictly from the roast. I think there's quite a bit of hops in here. In fact, I'm almost certain of it. So it really leaves you with kind of a nice kind of glowing bitter flavor in your mouth. You know, mild with plenty of that chocolate to kind of compensate for it as well, so it's not harsh at all. Finishes very well. I'm gonna have another sip here. Yeah, a lot of roast here as well. And you know, it's like a roasted coffee, but like it's not one of those acrid overly bitter espressos. You know, like I said before, like a house blend, something like that. I really like this beer. It's you know, it's a big beer, with just being short of being an absolute monster, which sometimes you don't really want. For 12%, it's pretty drinkable. I mean, I am getting some of that booze from it, but I don't really mind it at all. Pretty nice beer here. This is definitely well put together. If anything, I would like to see maybe some more of the coffee coming forward, but as I said, you know, this beer is probably 4 or 5 months old. You know, I would guess if you grabbed it and opened it up, you know, within a month of having it, you would have gotten a lot more coffee. So that's really, you know, a preference thing. It just happens to be when I opened this bottle and what it's tasting like now. If you kind of have this beer and you want it to taste a little bit more coffee forward, you know, you're going to want to drink it sooner. But then again, you know, you can sit on this beer for a couple of years if you want. So that's about it, guys. Thanks again, as always, for watching. I've been really appreciating your emails, and I hope that sometimes, you know, I do get it take a little while, and I apologize for taking some time, but I try to get to all the emails and give you guys answers. So if I have forgotten, please don't hold it against me. Feel free to email me again. You are not nagging me, and I always like to hear from you guys. So until next time, I've got some wonderful San Diego County coffee stout to drink, and hopefully you do too.